Hey everybody, it's Eric live alongside Rod to discuss Michigan State's final home game before the Champions Classic, where they got a win over San Jose State, 79-60. If you're watching right now on YouTube or X or Instagram, please leave a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. We really appreciate to hear from you. Super chats are open, so if you want to ask a question, you feel welcome. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so Rod, it seems like a lot of these games against lesser opponents, kind of tales of two halves. It seems many times, and tonight was no exception. Michigan State really could do no wrong in the first half, aside from miss some threes and free throws, but double up the Spartans from San Jose State, 46-23 at the break. But the second half was not pretty. Michigan State settled quite a bit on offense, I think, and they just really lacked focus, intensity on both ends, really allowing San Jose State to get comfortable and hit some threes and make some free throws and drive the lane a little bit. I think a little bit of that was probably because of maybe a couple extra minutes from other guys and a little bit strange lineups, but that was even more so in the first half, near the end of the first half, just to get people some rest for guys like Jeremy. So I don't know. I mean, it was really fun first half and a not so fun second half.
Yeah. The second half was, I said on the Spartan mag board, it was gross. And I say that not because of the missed shots, although many of them, this team, what did they shoot? They took
25 threes.
25 threes. That's too many.
Yeah.
Right now. That's too many. Prove you can hit them and we'll talk. But right now that's too many. And they were settling. They were settling for bad shots. But it was just overall in the second half, both ends, as you said, a lack of effort and energy and toughness and intensity, and they allowed San Jose State to actually take the game to them. One of the best indicators of that, of the flip in intensity, is the free throw line. First half, Michigan State attempted 19 free throws. That's a pretty good indicator of at least whether you're attack-minded on offense or not. Second half, they took 6.
Yeah.
Not acceptable. And that's just one illustration of the overall point. It was a shitty half of basketball. And, you might say it's possible that that's a silver lining because Izzo is going to have plenty to climb all over people about. There are some guys who put up some really good numbers tonight, which we'll get to. But Tom Izzo said the only guy he's happy with is Jeremy Fears. That's it. And it didn't have anything to do with him hitting 3 threes either. He said, he's right about this, said he had 9 assists. It should have been 15, 16.
Yeah.
But guys weren't converting. I mean, it was just, and the defensive side, after what I thought was a pretty damn good first half, the only guy, I mean, they held San Jose State to 30% shooting in the first half. Second half, they shot 42%. That's a big difference. In the first half, the only guy who got anything done was Colby Garland, who we knew and talked about in the preview coming in was kind of a one-man wrecking crew and really the only guy who's been doing anything offensively for them. Colby Garland earned what he got. He is, you could see.
He's good
in this game. Why? You could see why. And here's one, I'm going to ding you for this because you didn't mention it in the preview. Do you know where Colby Garland started his career out?
No idea.
Before he was at Longwood, he was at Drake.
Really? Okay.
And you didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it.
I'm assuming he didn't play. I'm assuming he wasn't in the rotation. But anyway, you could see why he'd at least have been a Missouri Valley level player in this game. And now as a Mountain West guy, and the thing was, I couldn't blame Jeremy Fears. Jeremy was, and you'll rarely say this, but he wasn't a great matchup for him. Why? Because he kept using his body to body Jeremy off him just a little bit, and then he'd raise up on a fall away. The only way you're going to really stop that is if you've got real length, and Jeremy doesn't. That's why, if you noticed, there were segments where Carr was guarding him. There were segments where they tried Jordan Scott on him. They did try some other guys. It wasn't that Jeremy was playing badly. It was just a physical thing. He's not long enough to really bother that kid, and that kid can hit fadeaways. And he did it with regularity. So you you could see in this game how effective he is and why he's averaging what he's averaging scoring-wise. But in the first half, he's the only guy who did anything. I thought Michigan State's defense was actually pretty good in the first half. I was happy. Second half, no. I mean, they let, what's the kid's name? The kid that I said I figured would play more in this game, and he ended up starting, perhaps because of some injuries. Mundi, yeah.
Yeah, Mundi. Yeah, he really got going in the second half, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was just, I'm not trying to take anything away from the kid. He played hard. He was competitive, all that, but Michigan State did a terrible job dealing with him. Nobody stepped to him physically.
Yeah.
They let him go wherever he wanted. They didn't bother. The bigs were not great in the second half at all at locating and closing on shooters. I mean, big man shooters, not guards. And it was just a lot of not good. So that undid what could have been, you're never gonna shoot off fireworks after beating a San Jose State, right? But
right.
It could have been if they'd followed up even with just a solid second half. It could have, you could have come out of this having some good feelings. I don't know whether that's better or worse for what's to come on Tuesday. It's possible this is the best equation because these guys certainly are not going to be going into that Kentucky game as Izzo likes to say, fat and sassy. They're not going to be doing that because he's going to be leaning on them the next few days. That much I'm certain of. But yeah, it was disappointing. And it was disappointing mostly because the areas where they've struggled, that frankly, they struggled again today. That didn't change.
Yeah.
But where they've been good, where they won that Arkansas game was absent in the second half. And this team can't afford that. If they're going to compete in this league. I mean, right after the MSU game was over, I watched the last 10 minutes or so of Purdue and Alabama, and Purdue's back at full strength now.
Yeah.
And they beat Alabama at Alabama, and they look good doing it. Illinois looked very good when I saw them the other night. Much better than a year ago. They're playing differently, playing much smarter. Indiana's put up 100 plus on 2 straight opponents. Now, we'll see what that means in the long run. But I'll tell you this, watching them for a half, they actually look like a real team now offensively. I mean, it's smart basketball. Michigan, not looking great thus far, but I think we know there's at least talent there. On and on and on. And I haven't even seen everybody in the league yet. So I know this much. The MSU that played Arkansas can hang. They can compete with anybody, I think, if they play that hard. But if they don't, if they come out and they play the way they did the second half tonight, they're going to get run. Because they do not have the pure horsepower kind of talent that can make up for. There have been teams. MSU teams generally play hard. We know that. But there have been MSU teams that had enough talent that they could afford to maybe ratchet the intensity down a gear in given games at least and still win just because they were that much better. Right. I don't think, and I'm not talking a game against the San Jose State. I mean, when it matters, like Tuesday night, for example.
Sure.
Can't do it. Cannot do it. This team does not have the kind of pure raw talent to overcome a half-ass effort. So they got to decide. Are they going to accept that? Or are they going to use that second half as motivation and say never again? Because that's really what it is. I didn't feel they had that problem against Colgate. I didn't think it was an energy effort. I just think the defense was not tuned in enough, not connected enough yet at this point in the season, et cetera. And I think Colgate's a better team than San Jose State too. So I think that's why that game was closer, and I wasn't as upset with the effort. But that second half, man, gross. That's the word. I think that's the word for it. I really did not want to watch it anymore.
Yeah. And the only thing, I couldn't go anywhere. Yeah, I was stuck.
Right. The only thing that left me feeling at least there was some glimmer of positivity about the second half was Jeremy Fears. And again, not that it proves anything definitively, but just for his confidence that he got going late with his shot. And I'm just as happy with that curl that he caught and hit for a 15-foot jumper as I was the 2 threes.
That surprised me more.
It looked right. It looked smooth. It looked confident, and he drained it. And they need that from him. So that was the one positive out of that second half. Everything else, take the sledgehammer to the tape and let's go to Madison Square Garden and hope we don't see a rerun.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some rough games in the Champions Classic before. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of good vibes for the team. So you'd hate to kind of reverse a little bit of that. And to your point, the Big Ten is looking pretty good. We had Dom on yesterday where he sort of has early projection for conferences, and he thinks as far as the best conference right now is the Big Ten, and then
I think 12,
so. And then SEC, and then ACC, and the Big East. And so, Purdue getting win is going to do nothing but solidify the Big Ten as the number 1 team, which is going to help out the rest of the league too, right? I mean, that's the whole point.
Look, maybe I've missed a matchup as far, but as best as I can tell, it's Big Ten 2 SEC goose egg right now.
I think that's right.
So I guess it just means more in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they say? Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think the Big Ten is going to be the best conference in America, because I think that Purdue tonight, now that they've got Trey Kaufman-Renn back, and they're full, you can see their full capacity. They had that exhibition game where Kentucky kind of blew them out. That didn't look good, but I couldn't believe that Purdue team would not step up and kind of at least come very close to meeting expectations. And seeing them tonight, I'm pretty confident they're going to do that. I do think they're going to be about as good as I thought they would be. But what I think we're already seeing in the early going is, my feeling was, well, there was Purdue and then there was kind of everybody else, right? And a big, 2 through 10, 2 through 11 was going to be hard to sort out. This league is going to be a bloodbath if things keep up the way they look in the early part of the season. Just from the teams that I've seen play, and I haven't seen Wisconsin play yet. I think Wisconsin's going to be very tough. You and I both have discussed Iowa, and I think Iowa is going to be much improved.
Yes.
Ohio State, I haven't seen them. They're an annual disappointment and tease, but who knows? Maybe this is the year. And we already talked about Indiana, I think, looking maybe even a bit better than I thought they would. And I thought they were going to be solid. So on and on we can go. And, the bottom end, like the bottom 2 or 3 teams, okay, pretty bad.
Right.
But everybody else, look out. It is going to be a war night in, night out. And so I have a hard time imagining that any league is going to be better than the Big Ten, which means that the onus is on this Michigan State team to do the things that they know they need to do in order to compete. If they play the way they did against Arkansas in terms of intensity, toughness, energy, effort, I'm fine. You'll live with the way the die rolls. But it's if they don't do that, and you say, well, okay, you're not even giving yourself a chance. Yeah. Because you don't have enough to overcome that.
Yeah, they definitely look rough. But let's talk about some individual players. I don't know where to begin. I guess the one that intrigued me, and we kind of talked about Jeremy. I think that there's not much more to say about him, except that it definitely was encouraging, not only that he hit those shots, but I think he shot with a lot of confidence. And I really agree that curl was surprising, that off that little screen where he just, because we have not seen him take that and actually into a shot. He usually takes it to go towards the basket. So it was a different sort of thing from him.
It's not playing off ball that way.
Right.
That's normally a 2 guards role at Michigan State. Yeah, that was really encouraging. But, I don't want to – he played a really good floor game again. As I said, he had 9 assists to 3 turnovers. It should have been 15.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He had 5 rebounds. I thought he played hard and he played well defensively. Again, the kid he was guarding for a lot of that first half just hit some shots that, for a guy Jeremy's size, there's nothing you can do. Those were not easy shots. Steve Smith was doing the broadcast. He was doing the color for BTN tonight, and he was talking about that. And, like those are tough shots, and that kid is just going out there and making them. And we know from what he's done already in the early season, that's not unusual. It was not fluky that he was hitting those shots. So I don't hold that against Jeremy. I thought he had a pretty good defensive game, even considering the guy he was guarding scored a decent amount. I thought he did what he can do, So really good game from him. Happy with him again.
Well, going through the rest of the lineup, so Jackson, I know. So I think a lot of Izzo's irritation with Carr, with Kohler, and Kohler actually would separate Carr in this game, because I may agree with Izzo a little bit more. I mean, he's always pushing. He wants his captains to be better. He knows they have to be better next game. I didn't think Carr or Cooper played that badly outside of Cooper's free throw shooting. I thought they were pretty good. So, I mean, but Kohler's, stat line, pretty impressive. I mean, what do you have with 18 points? Was it 18 points?
17 points, 18 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
Yeah. Insane. Yeah, he had the back-to-back blocks, those possessions late in the ice.
But
you
know what?
Second half.
You know what? 5 for 12 from the floor, and he missed shots that he should hit.
Yep.
And we've been saying that for 4 years. But, I mean, come on. Enough's enough. And I didn't think he was good defensively in the second half at all. Neither was Carson. They were both bad. That's how you let a kid that shouldn't be doing to you what he did get loose.
Right. Yeah. He was hitting 9 free throws. Yeah.
Just right. That's the biggest indictment of their defense. They couldn't avoid fouling him. It wasn't just those two, but it was a lot those two. Mm-hmm. So this is another game where, Carson, Izzo said it in his post game. He's like, I know there's some of you saying, oh, these guys had great games. Not for me, they didn't. And I get it. Yeah. It's amazing. And it's a compliment to Jackson in a sense, in that I think he's capable of doing so much more than he's done even now.
Right.
But it is saying something. You can look at a guy that's 17 and 18 and say, I didn't think he played that well. But I didn't think he played that well. I really didn't. I mean, the rebounding totals are nice. That's good. It means he competed in that area. So I'm not knocking him there. But honestly, the efficiency around the rim and the defense in the second half, not good enough. So, he's got to decide, because this is a couple times now where already, and I can't recall whether, well, I guess the Arkansas game, he really didn't have a great game. He was okay.
Right. No,
he hung in there. The bigs that turned that game were Cam Ward, and the second half, Carson Cooper.
Yeah.
When he could actually play. But Jackson's got to decide, man, because he's got enough game now. You look at what he does, even on a night like tonight, where I didn't think he played that well, and you look at the numbers he's putting up.
Yeah.
If Michigan State wins, if they win big, Jackson Kohler is going to have he could have an all-conference type season. But he's got to decide, are you going to bring it every game? And by bring it, I don't mean just put up a lot of rebounding totals and get some buckets here and there. Be efficient and be consistent. That's what's been lacking thus far. Efficiency and consistency on the defensive end, at least. So that's what I would like to see change.
Still 100% from the line, though. So that's very encouraging to see.
Well, that's good. God knows they need that.
Because Cooper, rough. I mean, Michigan State ends up shooting 69% from from the free throw line. And largely due to Cooper missing half his free throws, 5 for 10. I mean, he'd have over 20 points if he hit just 3 more of them, right? So
he's the guy right now. He's the guy. Yeah. And you can see it kind of getting to him. Here's the thing. When Carson Cooper is now capable of draining a 15-foot jump shot, as he did in this game, there's no earthly reason why he should be struggling at the line the way he is, given that we know he can shoot free throws. We saw him do it all last year.
Yeah.
And this is now, we're not just, he had a bad game. This is several games. But I can't look at him and say, well, he just doesn't have a good stroke. He's just a bad free throw shooter, and that's what he is. This is about locking in. It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sounds simplistic, and it is simplistic. It's more complicated than that. But truthfully, I do think one way or another, that's what it comes down to. He's just got to decide, I'm not accepting going 50% at the line because I get fouled too goddamn much to do that.
Yeah. I mean,
he had 10 free throw attempts tonight. Like you said, he shoots the way he should. He's knocking on the door of 20-point night. It was a career high in scoring, by the way. For him.
It was.
But
and
you know,
and
again,
all the problems
not good enough.
Yeah, well, and all the problems you point out, they're right. But I think it's important to take a step back too and look at it and say, here's a guy now who's contributing offensively, who hasn't really contributed offensively for Michigan State throughout his career,
right?
A little bit last year, right? All those things, as we see many times, right? We see these centers suddenly look like they're really athletic, suddenly look like they can score and do things that you never thought they could do before, and people would criticize them for. But so I'm very encouraged by that sort of thing. Yes, his effort, I'll take that and accept that. But it's been very encouraging to see how his game has evolved, and he's going to get to the line a lot more. So, I mean, to your point, he's got to hit the free throws, which he should.
But you know what helped make Michigan State a team that could win the Big Ten by 3 games last year? Because they had a center, and he wasn't the only guy playing, but he played a lot of minutes. I think he was basically the starter, even though he wasn't the starter in name.
Right. Yeah.
They had, in my opinion, the best defensive center in the Big Ten. Why? Because you can play him in hard hedge, pick and roll defense, and he could switch with impunity, and he can guard guards, and he doesn't break down. And because he can do that, you are not giving away easy jumpers to opponents because of the way teams that have to play drop coverage do. That's why he was not good enough in that second half. They won the Arkansas game in large part because he was great defensively in the second half.
I agree.
So it's great that he's scoring more. I'm encouraged by that too. But start cashing in the free throws, because if he continues to score more, guess what's going to happen? He's also going to get fouled more.
Right.
So he's got to be more consistent there. Has to. And there's no excuse for not being it, because he's a good enough shooter. We know that. And I don't want to see half-assed. The thing that I was angered by more than anything else in that second half, I don't understand why Izzo was not just sitting he and Jackson more and letting Cam Ward and Jesse McCulloch play. Even though those guys, especially Jesse, are not perfect at this point. But I was surprised he gave those 2 veterans as long a leash as he did, because it was just not acceptable. So, again, both those guys put up these numbers that people are going to look at the box score who didn't watch the game and say, boy, they had great nights. Not from where I sit, they didn't. That's not winning basketball the way they played. And they know that. I have no doubt they know that.
Yeah. Carr was interesting. 4 for 7 the field. I mean, mostly dunks, I guess. 8 points, misses 1 free throw, misses 1 3-point attempt. I felt like he was a step late on defense, especially the second half. And then just not impacting the game as much as he should. I mean, he had 4 rebounds, I think. Definitely guys should have more than 4 rebounds, more than 1 offensive rebound. Plenty of opportunities there for him. This is part of growing up, right? As far as your role in the team, you had a guy who was a role player last year. Now he's expected to do a lot more. And it's probably hard to sort of get that consistency. You got to learn that, and that he's just not there yet. And you expect that from freshmen. You expect a little bit more from Carr, when you're upperclassmen, juniors.
You want to play in the NBA? You want to lead your team to another Big Ten title and go deep in March? Got to do it. Right. No excuses. Yeah, he was drifting. I mean, in that second half where they were settling for jumpers the way they were, Carr's got to be a guy who says, F this, and just takes the ball to the rim and goes through somebody. Seriously.
Yeah.
Or post somebody up. Do something to get a good shot at the rim. That was maddening to watch that. Guys just jacking jumpers. When it clank, clank, clank. Figure it out. If they're not falling, get to the rim. And Carr is the number 1 get to the rim guy on that team. But Jeremy, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. And look, we've had 3 games in the regular season now, and Cohen's kind of drifted in 2 of them. The good news is he was at his best against Arkansas.
Yeah, when you need him most, but yeah.
Izzo said it's probably the best game he's played at MSU.
I
But
agree.
You got to do that every time out. You're the guy on this team. You are the guy.
Maybe he needs to wear that ridiculous T-shirt.
Disappointing from him too.
Yeah.
All basically of the 4 captains, the only guy who wasn't disappointing was Jeremy Fears. That's it. Everybody else, talk about their numbers all you want. I don't care. That was not winning basketball.
Let's talk about the two spot. Trey Fort starts the game, goes 0 for 5 from the 3, 1 for 6 from the field, total 2 points, a couple rebounds, I don't know, block, a steal or something like that, or actually a block, and turnover. Not very good. I mean, and he had the one play. This turnover was really bad. It was like one he's just kind of like, I don't know, not hero ball. I'm not exactly sure how to call it, but it's just sort of sloppy.
Oh, it was mid-major shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It was him. Oh, I'm going to square this guy up and take him off the dribble and go between, try to cross him over. And it was lazy, and he got burned. Yeah, not good thus far from Trey overall. He looks confident and he looks good shooting the ball. They haven't been falling yet. The first 2 games he shot all right. Today, as you said, 0 for 5. I thought they were all okay shots. I didn't think there were any terrible ones the way there was in the Arkansas game. But, been saying for a while now with Curtain, hey, if he's not hitting threes,
yep,
you probably can't play him very much because he's not doing anything else. Well, Trey Fort, if he's not hitting threes, why is he playing? I mean, right now, that's, at that position, Jordan Scott obviously did not have nearly the kind of impact that he had in the Arkansas game. But you know what? I already trust Jordan Scott on the defensive end way more than the other 2 options. It's easy to see if you're watching. And I'm surprised he didn't play more minutes tonight. Because again, I didn't think Trey was very good. I didn't think Curtain was great defensively.
Nope.
He had a better game offensively, and that's why you could play him a little bit more. But with Trey, look, we know there's a lot of offensive talent there. Got to start showing up while we wait for his defense to hopefully get to a passable level. Because if it's going to be like tonight, why play him?
Well, I wonder if he didn't have to be quite as efficient at Samford. I don't remember what his stat line was.
They were good. He shot like 38% from
a game or something.
Year.
Yeah. He's just not going to get opportunities for shoot 12, 13 times if he starts up 4.
So he's got to. He's right. He's got to be. He's not going to have many opportunities to just shoot himself into a game. That's true.
Exactly.
But yeah, gotta. And look, I'm not saying I don't think he can do it. I'm just saying he needs to start doing it.
Yeah. Well, definitely. And to your point about Curtain, encouraging that he started hitting some shots. I mean,
yes,
2 for 5 from 3. Especially when he was spot up and just in the corner, he looked very, very comfortable shooting those. I think the one he was like kind of falling sideways when he shot a 3, which was not a very good shot. But so anyway, that's encouraging. Obviously, the defense needs to be better. But to your point, if he's hitting 40% from 3, you can handle a couple lapses defensively.
And they will continue to give him opportunities. I think what it will be is very much like we've seen the last 2 games. You hit some shots, you at least play with some kind of effort the way he did in the first half, you're going to get a longer leash. You don't do those things, it's going to be Arkansas where you play 6 minutes. That's how it's going to be for a while. So I'm not in a camp that says, hey, Curtain can't do it, sit him for good, give those minutes to anybody else. No, you got to keep giving him opportunities. But how long a leash he has in those, and what I guess what I'm saying is, I'm getting to the point that I'm feeling the same way about Trey Fort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If he doesn't have it early, I don't think you play. I don't think you keep giving him chances in that game if you've got better options. And honestly, Jordan Scott can have a game like today where he didn't score much, I'm still okay with him playing, because I know at least he's going to guard somebody. I know he's going to play hard. I was surprised he didn't get more run in this game. I know he missed the 2 jumpers he took badly, but that's not anything Tom Izzo won't live with the other things that he does. I was really kind of disappointed that Jordan didn't get more run and that Cam Ward didn't get more run, because Cam Ward was kind of doing all the same things that he did against Arkansas, just not getting as many opportunities. And I think he only played 15 minutes. And as I said a few moments ago, if it were me, I would have been sitting one or both of Jackson and Carson a lot more than they did, because both those guys, I think, were around 30 minutes played. They didn't play well enough to justify those kind of minutes, not my opinion.
Yeah.
Cam Ward did. The one thing that was new in this one that's encouraging for the future, I don't know if you'd noticed this, late in the first half, San Jose State went to a zone for a few possessions, and they put Cam right in the middle of the zone offense in the gap. He made 2 really nice plays for teammates at the rim with passes, and looks to me like he could be a legitimate answer against a zone in that role. And that is a spot that you need. Now they've got some other, I think, with the way Carson's shooting now, and he's a more confident passer, you maybe could play him there. I think you maybe can play Jackson there as well. So they've got some other options that, at least in theory, might work. But I really liked seeing Cam do that. And then, he did the other stuff, offensive rebounds. He had a great post move early in the first half.
It went right through someone. Yep.
If I was frustrated by anything, it's that they didn't get him the ball more. I've already seen enough to think Cam Ward might be, this might sound outrageous, but he might be their best low post player, because Jackson isn't finishing. He's not showing much improvement in terms of his ability to finish. He's going to finish some, but I mean consistently. In these 2 games, is Cam Ward missing much when he gets the ball on the blocks? I'm not seeing that. He's converting. Yeah. He's going through people. So that's, I guess, to me, right now, I have enough confidence in the freshmen, those 2 guys, at least not doing the shit that we saw a lot of that second half, where it's just lackadaisical, half-assed focus and effort and energy. They're at least going to play hard.
And then finishing up here, not a whole lot to say about Jesse McCullough. He played just about 6 minutes.
Yeah. And again,
I one shot. Yeah.
I made one nice defensive play. We forced a turnover. But yeah, he's not getting the kind of minutes, to be honest, that I thought he would at the outset of the season. I thought he would play a little bit more. And I do think I'm not sure. It's gotta be defensive stuff that Izzo isn't happy with. At least not yet. But I do think it's important that he prove capable of maybe contributing a little bit more than he is. Again, we've talked about this. Cam has clearly established himself as the top guy in that rotation. And that you can swing Cohen to the 4 if you need to as well. So it doesn't necessarily leave the kind of role that I thought might be there for Jesse. But then again, we haven't hit the Big Ten yet, where it's night after night, 6'10", 6'11", 7-foot guys. There might be a need, and we might see Jesse getting a bigger role, but thus far, not as much.
Well, you almost wonder next game too against Kentucky. I mean, I haven't looked at their roster, but I got imagine
they've got size.
Yeah,
they've got size. Yeah,
and then finally, just to round things out, I guess Ugochukwu, who I thought looked a little bit better.
I
mean, he looked a little bit on offense. It looked a little more coherent. He had that one nice take to the basket. It was super quick. I mean, it's very impressive. He just needs to stop shooting threes. He's just not, he's just not dialed in for the 3.
There were 2 things with that. That first step, Steve Smith said that. He's like, that first step is legit. But the other thing I liked is, did you see how high he got up to finish that play?
Yep.
Very high. He's got good size. We talked about that in the preseason at about 6'3". Good positional size, but he's an athlete.
Yep.
And you saw both the run and the jump components of that athleticism on that play. So yeah, I really liked that. I thought it was a step forward for him. Not like, oh my God, he's ready to play 30 minutes a night, but a step forward. Michigan State does not need him to be a star. They need him to be solid and reliable in his role, which truthfully is probably, 10 to 12 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
That's about what they need from him.
You just can't fall off a cliff offensively when he's out there. And that's the key, right?
And the thing is, they can't, I don't think they want or frankly can afford to be playing Jeremy Fears, 34, 35 minutes. They can't do it.
Yeah.
30, 31. Yeah. You might not think that an extra 3-4 minutes a game is a big deal. Multiply it over the course of a season, it's a big deal. Yeah. At a place like Michigan State, those minutes, Michigan State minutes, it's a big deal. So they need Divine to make those strides, but I agree with you. I think it was a step in the right direction tonight.
All right, well, let's move on then to the player that Michigan State needed to keep in the gutter, which was Colby Garland. He ended up with 22 points, 10 for 16 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. Misses 1 free throw attempt, had 3 rebounds, none of them offensive, 3 assists to 1 turnover, a steal, no blocks. So he got pretty much his average. He was averaging like 25.5 points a game, finishes with 22. He was the only guy that could really get anything going in the first half, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And he was,
more than half the points.
Yeah.
He did. He had way more than half. He had 14 at the half. And
he had more.
They had 23. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. He had because Michigan State would double him up in the first half. They were just pretty much dominating. And actually, I want to say he probably scored 7 or 8 of those points in the last few minutes of the first half. I mean, he was pretty much held down, or he wasn't able to get free. And then he kind of figured some things out, and then he started getting some getting some buckets.
They didn't shut him down. They didn't keep him in any gutters. That's for sure. But again, I actually don't think Michigan State, as strange as it sounds, I don't think they played horrible defense on him. I think that's a tough cover, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how teams, obviously the Mountain West is a solid league, as we talked about in the preview, but man, that guy, I don't know, unless you've got like a long 6'6" guy, say a Jordan Scott with experience and a little more strength.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of guy maybe could give him problems. But a conventional point guard trying to guard him, good luck.
Yeah.
You just better hope he's missing those shots, because he will get those shots against anybody. I mean, Jeremy Fears is a very good defensive player and a guy who holds his ground, and that kid was still creating space. Now, again, fading away in the mid-range, those are not high percentage shots, but we saw enough tonight to now know, well, he can hit those.
Yeah.
So
I hate proclaiming these teams that Michigan State's playing as, the best or like really great teams, because I think it's pretty clear San Jose State's not, but he's so good that he might carry them a game or two, just win a couple games on his own in the
maybe. Well,
right?
Again, they played 2 high major games. Tonight they got beat by 19, but Utah beat them by, what was it, 9?
9 points, I think. Yeah, 11 to San.
You can kind of see. I think you're right. I don't think they'll finish last in that league, because that kid will carry them on enough nights.
That's what I would think too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, JJ McKay mentioned. We didn't talk about Wojcik getting his bloody nose and 1 rebound, 1 assist.
Yeah.
First half.
I'm glad he got a chance to see the court, and the same thing at the end of the game for Nick Sanders. I don't know how, honestly, with Michigan State's schedule, I don't know if there will likely be more than 3 or 4 more opportunities for that. I mean, you never know in the Big Ten. Sometimes games can get out of hand late.
Yeah,
but
maybe
you don't count on it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Big Ten is overall going to be a meat grinder. There might be 2 or 3 laughers, but it's going to be. I mean, it might even go the wrong way for Michigan State a couple times. I mean, got to go to Mackey. That's when I'm not looking forward to coming out, doing a live show after that one. All right, so then we have the Who Cleans Glass Best, brought to you by the Swedish Squad of Grand Rapids. Again, make sure that you take care of your windows. Make sure you get them clean. The Squeegee Squad does a great job. They'll get on the ladder so you don't have to. So you don't have to be like Rod and try and get up on a 17-foot ladder to clean your windows. They'll get the inside, the outside. They'll do whatever it takes, whether it's your home or business. 15% off. You mentioned Final Four when you get your estimate. You do that at the support page at tffinots.com/support, which totally reminds me that I forgot to even talk about the Brothers Gesture Gutters to make sure that they come out, take care of your leaves, take care of your gutters. If you've got leaky problems, I know Rod might reach out to Greg over on the east side of the state because he's got a little bit of black ice issues from his unusual gutter draining. So contact those guys today. If you're on the west side of the state, Kurt does a fantastic job as well. 10% off. You mentioned Final Four. And again, you go to support page to find ways to reach out to those guys. All right. So who cleans the glass best? This was over at halftime, I think, this rebounding contest. I had Kohler and Carr, and what I ended up with, Kohler had more than any three players combined, I think. So
you had 22. Really not,
yeah. So he had 18 and then Carr had 4. So it was 22. And you had Cooper and Ward. And Ward, like you mentioned, just didn't have a lot of playing time. So I think it was like you ended up with 11 with Cooper with 7 and Ward with 4. I do. And I remember us talking before about Cooper. And my feeling is that Cooper, since he's playing so much more in the switches and out on because usually it's the 5 who goes out. And so then I feel like there's less defensive rebounding opportunities. And I definitely think you saw that with Jackson. Now, that being said, Jackson still had 5 offensive rebounds. It's not like he's not doing, he still led the team in offensive rebounding too. I mean, he just kind of has a nose for the ball and he's not drifting out as much, defensively or offensively. So
Cooper had 7 boards. I mean,
he did have 7. Yeah.
That's a solid game.
Just not colossal, like an 18 rebounding
effort. That's the thing. We're not, we just got done talking about how, this is going to get interesting because
I know.
And then you have Jackson come out. And I mean, Jackson is, in fairness to Jackson, I know I was hard on him overall tonight, despite the numbers, but man, we have not seen, I'm trying to think of a guy who had a stretch where he was putting up the kind of rebounding numbers that Jackson Kohler is putting up. And that has not happened at Michigan State historically for very good reason. Michigan State usually has a lot of guys who rebound well, and so it's very competitive. And you don't typically, it's rare that Michigan State even has a guy who averages in double digits. It's happened, but not a lot, not as much as you would think for an elite rebounding program, right?
Yeah.
But Jackson Kohler, the way he's going, I don't think it's going to be a surprise if we see him end up maybe 11, maybe 12 rebounds a game. I mean, the bad game was the Arkansas game where he still had 7.
Right.
I mean, that's not, if you're putting up 18 rebound games every once in a while, an occasional night where you have 7 isn't going to kill your average much. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but right now he is doing some things that we don't see very often at Michigan State because of the way rebounding is emphasized team wide. You don't tend to have, one guy who's just completely dominating, the way Luka Garza did at Iowa a few years ago, something like that. You just don't see that. Even when you've got guys, even when they had Antonio Smith, I don't know that I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure if Antonio ever had a year where he averaged double digits. He might have. Draymond Green, great rebounder in college, but he never had he wasn't putting up games regularly where he's grabbing 18 boards.
No, that's almost certainly the case. Yeah, I mean, he's the point now where he had second double-double this year. It would not be crazy to imagine him averaging a double-double. We'll have to see how he's against Arkansas.
I think it's possible.
North Carolina, these other bigger schools, they're going to have the better athletes. Can he compete on the boards with those teams?
Here's why it's possible. The reason it's possible is he's, you mentioned it at one point tonight. He's one guy that we don't have to be worried about at the line. He's been shooting well.
That's true.
He's picked up right where he left off. And because of the way he plays, he's going to consistently, I'd be surprised if you see many games where he's not at least taking, 4 free throw attempts.
Right.
And oftentimes it could be more than that. So he's going to get those opportunities to score. And he has been scoring at a decent clip too. It's not just rebounding. So I think a double-double average for him on the year is very much in play.
Yeah, especially since I think at some point he's going to get his 3 dialed in a little bit better.
Yep.
He hit what?
Well, he hit one
today.
That was good to see.
So he got maybe get on the horse a little bit here today. So, all right. So that brings us to the 5 keys to the game, brought to you by Nudge Printing. As a reminder, Nudge Printing has the contest right now for listeners of this show. So head on over to nudgeprinting.com/win, and you can enter for free for the hoodie. If you're watching on TV, you can see it is a Tom Frickin' Izzo hooded sweatshirt, totally free, costs nothing to enter. It's a random drawing. It'll be the drawing for this month. That will be before the North Carolina game. So we'll announce it in the post game for North Carolina, who wins the sweatshirt, and then we'll have a contest the following week. So make sure you enter that today. Again, no cost to it. And then head on over to nudgeprinting.com and just check out the other stuff. It is getting close to Christmas. So it's now Thanksgiving around. It's time to start thinking about these things. You can get all kinds of great gifts at Nudge Printing. I'd highly recommend basically anything there. You can't go wrong with any of that stuff. I have to get some more stuff from Nudge Printing. Super comfortable, and they last forever. I'm wearing the t-shirt right now under the shirt, but I was just thinking about it. It's survived like 30 or 40 washes, and it looks pretty much like it did when I first put it on. So you won't be disappointed with Nudge Printing. So nudgeprinting.com, and make sure you go enter that contest at nudgeprinting.com/win. All right. So keys to the game. The first one is focus. And I was thinking about this during the first half. I'm like, their focus looks pretty good. This is a team that's coming out. They did look flat after that Arkansas game. It's just one of those trap games where you got Arkansas and then you got Kentucky on the other side. And the second half, the focus was like a 180.
Yep. Not a check mark. Failure.
And then we'll go to the glass. And the glass, much better. I think this appears to be the team's identity. Again, we're only 3 games of the season. 45-26 overall rebounding edge, offensive boards 13-7. So a 43% offensive rebounding rate for Michigan State, allowing just 19% offensive rebounding rate from San Jose State, who is not a fantastic rebounding team, but they definitely are pretty good offensive rebounding team. And then Michigan was able to hold them up there. And I could see why. I mean, they were working hard, but they just weren't able to kind of get anything going.
Yep.
But we expected them to be a little weak on the defensive end, which they were. I mean, Michigan State was in the plus 50% in the first half, but I think just because they missed a gazillion shots in the second half.
Yeah, it was a solid effort. I'm not going to say incredible because you have to scale for opposition, and obviously being 50% plus against a team like Arkansas is better than 43% against this team.
Right.
But raw numbers and adjusting for opponent, both. But they were good. They clearly have gotten past, remember, that first game and 2/3.
Right. It was the exhibition.
But that's
season.
The thing.
Yeah.
It was mystifying to me more than anything else because I looked at it and said there's no good reason for this team, as good as it was last year, and the guys who are back and the guys that they lost who were not consistent rebounders. It didn't make any sense why this team wouldn't pick up right where it left off. Well, now we're seeing that. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. And that is and that I think Michigan State is now up to 10th nationally in offensive rebounding rate, and I think it was 21st in defensive. So
pretty good.
Of elite levels of rebounding right now so far through 2 games and then a real tough game. So third key to the game is the threes. Well, so Michigan State is now 341st in the country in 3-point shooting, which is even worse than last year's. They're averaging 24%. Or there was 24% this game, I guess.
Yeah.
They're 6 for 25. So they were 6 for 25. Not good. However, you can look at it another way and say, well, Fears is 3 for 5. You've got Tang 2 for 5, then Kohler 1 for 5, and Ford 0 for 5, and then I think Scott and Ugochukwu missed a pair, and Carr missed 1.
The big thing for me right now is at this stage, you can't be taking 25 threes.
Well, the volume is
you
all
cannot
wrong.
do that. That is telling me that you are giving in and you are taking shots. Now, I understand shooters have to shoot. They've got to have confidence. Absolutely. But there's a balance.
Yeah.
And Michigan State in that second half, I was really unhappy with some of what I saw because they just settled. And it's, if you've missed as a group, you missed, if you have not been hitting, take the ball to the basket, draw contact, finish at the rim, do something else, anything else to see the ball go through the hoop and start getting some confidence built that way. Yep. That is a tried and true approach that you take. You're right that we could look at Fears and Tane and say, well, at least two guys seem to get on track, and Jackson managed to hit one. But boy, they had a lot of misses coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
To put up 6 for 25. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm one that doesn't go overboard with this. And the reason I don't go overboard with it is historically. So even in the many vast majority of years where Tom Izzo's had teams that actually shot the three very well, they don't shoot it a lot.
Yeah.
And because of that, the impact of the three at Michigan State is not what it is at a lot of other places. And that is a fact, FACT, that gets forgotten by a lot of people when they obsess about it. So I am not one to get overly concerned about the three-point shooting because I know whether it's good or bad, it tends to be well down the list of things that impact games for Michigan State. I'm talking about overall. There could be an individual game here or there where you could say, boy, in this game, because of this matchup, they probably do need to hit some jumpers. But I'm just saying holistically.
Yeah.
But 340-something isn't going to cut it.
No.
I'll say that much.
It's going to limit you at some point,
yes,
right? You're gonna,
it limits. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. The reason it doesn't cut it is not that it means you can't be competitive. Last year proved it. You can be competitive while not shooting threes well.
Yeah.
You can be more than competitive. You can be really damn good. But it's going to bite you somewhere. If the idea is you want to win 4 or you want to win 5 or 6 in March,
yep,
you probably can't do it that way. It's hard to imagine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I'm not ready to call this a bad shooting team, but I'm pretty close because I just feel like we've seen this a couple years in a row now. It just feels the same. Until they do it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But that's the thing though. A lot of different guys, it's not all the same guys. You lose guys that last year did not shoot very well. Jaden Akins, Trey Holloman, they're gone. Frankie Fiddler, gone. So they've got new guys, but it's similar results.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, Trey Fort was a 38% shooter from 3 last year. That's reason to believe he can find it. Kurt Tang has now shown some flashes shooting the ball. Can he find consistency with that? Can Jackson Kohler get on track and find a little more consistency the way he did late in the season last year? We're not talking about guys that have never done it.
Right.
But at some point they got to do it. They got to do it.
Yeah. It's very puzzling to me because you had a Jaden Akins who basically throughout his career, every year he was a little bit worse. Now that was partly because of volume, I suppose you could argue, but I don't think there's a huge difference between his 3rd and 4th year playing and Trey Holloman, the same thing. So I don't know. It's not like they don't practice a shot. It's not like, they're not making them in practice or whatever. Just for whatever reason, it's just not going down. And I would say a lot of them today were in and out. So,
early, especially they had some shots that were all but in, several of them. Yeah.
They weren't as bad as
some of those are. Now I'll say this, the next one, historically, you go into Madison Square Garden if you're Michigan State and you don't have a good feeling about that, typically watch them go 13 for 22 against Kentucky. It would be fitting.
Yeah, right. That would be amazing if that happened. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, and I mean, usually Michigan State are really good shooting teams, but to your point, it's not as impactful. And if you look even at Michigan State's offense, I think they're rated 50th this year, which is not terrible. It's pretty good. They're 8th defensively, so they're really
yeah.
really
It's not good enough though. 50th
right.
offensively is not going to cut it.
Right. But then you also if they only hit shot 10% better, now you're way better. But you got to do it, of course.
And it's not just the threes either. It's that the free throw shooting's been inconsistent.
Yep,
and they're getting there a lot, so that's hurting. Their 2-point finishing has not been as good as it should be. There's a lot of factors there.
Yeah. All right. So the fourth key to the game is transition game. And that was, I thought, very good this year, or this game, especially the first half. I mean, Michigan State, I think, finished with a 24-8 edge. And the thing I thought was best about that is it was a 24-8 edge. They scored 24 points fast break, and there were only 9 turnovers from San Jose State. So it's not like they're getting a lot of, steals and easy layups. I mean, they were manufacturing that transition, those buckets. So that was really good. I thought they were, and that's kind of what I'm going in late in the second half, that one dunk to Carr that kind of got them rolling again when it got to game pressure, right? Got down to 10 points.
Yep. I think especially early on, you saw some signs of, okay, this looks like a bunch of guys. Their coach has seen this before, but they haven't.
Right.
There was a little bit of that. But I was fine with the way that they handled the transition game.
And so the final key to the game is defensive momentum. And I don't know. I guess you could look at this as two halves, but I think we probably talked plenty about the defense. The defense, they did some things really well for a while, but then not the whole game.
First half, I was very happy. You can't be unhappy holding a team to 30%, especially when they had one guy who was efficient, who was proven to be, and they still held the group to 30%. Yeah. Second half was very disappointing. To allow that team to shoot 42% from the floor against you, no good. And when their one guy wasn't as impactful as he was, he only had 8 points in the second half.
Right.
So he wasn't making the impact he did in the first half. And yet you still let, and that's the thing with him, as I talked about earlier, that very much his game was a tip your cap kind of game.
Yep.
I didn't think there were a lot of just disastrous defensive possessions against him. I thought he just made plays. But there are other guys in the second half, not the case. Michigan State looked very bad at times defensively in the second half. So I'm a little disappointed in the way that one ended up, and I don't think you can give that a check mark overall.
Yep, I agree.
Wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't good enough.
Not what you hope for if you want to try and get some momentum going into Kentucky game. But again, we see this all the time early in the season, and so it's it could be very helpful in the sense that
I want to make it like clear.
Now they're we got to bring it every game. So
and that's really it. The reason that I'm so down on it is because I felt this one was an example more of a lack of consistent energy and effort and toughness as opposed to execution stuff. Like, I wasn't that upset with the Colgate game because that was execution stuff. And I said, well, that's the kind of thing that's going to have to build over several weeks, and they will get better in terms of their defensive connectivity. I don't feel like that was the deal tonight. And for this team especially, I think it's imperative that that grit level is at 10 pretty much all the time. That's what's going to allow them to hang with people.
Yeah.
To hang with good opponents. We saw it last Saturday. If Michigan State played the Arkansas game the way they played tonight, they would have got beaten by 15 or 20. My opinion.
Right. Oh, I think you're 100% right on that. All right.
But in fairness, as you say, this happens. Lots of teams it happens to, not just Michigan State, but it definitely happens to Michigan State over the years. And You did have some lineups that I don't think we're going to see a lot of in bigger games. So we didn't see in the Arkansas game, for example, where there were no starters out there. We didn't see that. And you still got guys kind of figuring some things out, even a lot of the returnees. We talked about Cohen Carr. It is a new thing for Cohen Carr to be looked at as a guy where you say, hey, you've got to be engaged for 40 minutes. You have to be making an impact for 40 minutes, not 10, 40. And that is a new thing for him. It's a new thing for Carson Cooper, I guess, to be a guy that they're looking to provide some scoring.
Yep.
So on and on we go. So it doesn't mean that I'm down on this team's potential or what I think they'll be, given to me, I think they are, when I consider all 3 games in total, they're at the very least where I thought they'd be, and they might be a little bit ahead of that in some ways. I think defensively they're a little bit ahead of where I thought they'd be, especially after Colgate. But it just means when you know what the equation has to be for a team and they don't deliver on a key part of that equation, that's disappointing. And that's what I think we saw tonight. So they can't afford that if they're going to be the team we all hope they will be.
And I kind of feel like this team, comparison to last year's team, I feel like this team's a little bit further along than last year's team was. I don't know if you feel the same way there. I mean,
well, we talked about that after Arkansas. I definitely agreed after the Arkansas game. Tonight, in some ways, was a half step back. So I don't know. I mean, let's talk again after Kentucky.
Oh yeah, for sure. That'll be a real good test. Yeah. So that reminds me a couple things. So shout out to Nolan, very nice guy, sat by me at the game. Probably out walking his dog. And so thanks for listening to the show. And also the ice cream sandwiches were they were elite today. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but they're actually a crispy cookie versus the kind of little chewer one. So I was very happy there. And a reminder, we're going to be live tomorrow, probably 5-ish, maybe a little bit earlier. We're going to talk about Ethan Taylor, who is expected to announce his commitment to Michigan State. So we'll come back with that. So you can join us live. And then I think that's probably, then we're going to hop on a plane pretty soon and going to head out to New York. And we're going to be at the Champions Classic in Madison Square Garden. It is my first time visiting New York City, which is kind of hard to, I know people can barely believe that. So that should be a good time and hopefully better results than the last time we had a road trip, Rod, when we were out in Los Angeles.
Oh, this might be the end of road trips if this doesn't go better.
I think we're going to have a lot of people insist we don't go anymore if this turns out well. But I think it's going to be it'll be a fun game. It'll be fun to see everything.
Well, interesting, and we'll get into this when we preview Kentucky. But interesting note: they were already missing due to injury their big kid, the transfer from Arizona State, who is mocked as a first rounder. Today, it looks like they've lost their point guard for several weeks.
Oh no!
He separated his shoulder in practice, and he'd already hurt it once earlier this offseason. We'll see what it ends up being, but this is the kid who transferred in from Pitt, I believe. Lowe is his name. So it'll be an interesting discussion when we preview Kentucky because it does not look like they're going to be at full strength.
So if Michigan State wins, then the field of 68 is just going to say, well, they just, they hardly played in Kentucky. Isn't the field of 68? Is that
I've never heard of it. Field of 68. What's that?
Yeah, very good.
That should be every college basketball fan's reaction, by the way.
One quick thing too, Steve Strong mentioned as our strength. Sorry. This is the problem with getting old and late at night. He had a question. Data says to keep shooting, but it seems painful. I think we saw that from Illinois last year enough to know that that's probably not always the best solution. And
no,
I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch the Purdue, Alabama game tonight. I know my wife was kind of following the score on her phone as we were driving back from the game. It sure seemed like they're shooting a lot of threes and missing a lot. I mean, I guess I don't.
Who?
Sure.
Purdue?
Alabama. Well, that's what that's their game, right?
That's what they do. They made 16. I didn't see
how they shot like 44,
right? Which is still not, if you're doing the math, you can live with that
35% or something.
But I'm not. Look, I absolutely hate. And this is Nate Oates never going to be the coach of Michigan State. Whenever I hear somebody moot that as a possibility, they don't know. Nate Oates never going to be a coach of Michigan State. Book that. But if he were a likely legitimate candidate, I would be very unhappy. It's not that you can't compete and you can't win, because he's done a lot of both at Alabama. Yeah. But I hate watching that. I understand the math, but I hate watching it. It's an aesthetic atrocity, in my opinion.
Like the Zach Edey, opposite of Zach Edey, huh?
Threes, and he was a different kind of atrocity.
Yeah, right.
But threes and layups and dunks and nothing in between. It makes for ugly, ugly basketball, in my opinion. Threes are fine, but the infatuation with them to that extent where you can watch teams throwing up 45 of them, yeah, not for me, thanks. But more than that, I think it's a very difficult way to try to win 6 games in March.
Yeah.
The key to being able to win in March, in my opinion, is that you can play different types of games. You can win in different ways, because you're going to face high-level teams that play differently during the course of those 6 games. That's what the tournament is.
Right.
Maybe you get one walkover, but probably 4 or 5 of them, if you play 6, are going to be really good teams, and they're going to be different. And if that's just what you do and that's the only thing you do, yeah, I don't. Anyway, I digress. You were making a point about something about threes with Michigan State.
Oh, just the fact that, just Steve was just mentioning that data says you should just keep shooting them. And I'm just like, I don't know that that's always.
No,
we saw that with Illinois.
You mentioned a really good example, Illinois last year, right?
Yeah.
And that's never going to happen at MSU.
Well, right. Yeah.
I mean, what MSU did tonight would have been a drop in the bucket for Illinois last year. They're regularly over 30.
Yeah.
No, I'm with him in the sense, I'm with that listener in the sense that a guy who is a shooter does have to keep shooting. They can't get so much into their own head that they completely lose any confidence. I get that. But we're talking about how a team is approaching a game. When you are as cold as Michigan State was, you can't just – that's not good offensive basketball.
Right.
At a certain point, you have to stop and say, the ball's going inside. And that's why I was saying – I don't even know if I fully completed the thought earlier, but when they were going through that, Cam Ward was not on the floor. And it was driving me crazy. I'm like, Cam Ward is the one guy on this team. Put him on the blocks. He's going to get you a bucket if you get him the damn ball. He will knock somebody out to get room to get a shot up, and he's going to hit it. And that's what they needed at that point, But anyway, yeah, I hear that, but on an individual basis, there's some truth to that. On a team basis in a given game, you cannot approach it that way. Otherwise, you get Illinois of 2024, 25.
Yep, exactly. All right. Well, $1 in the jar for you for getting the wards mixed up. That'll be the first time of many, I'm sure, over the next few years. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back, like I said, in the evening. Make sure you tune in if you're listening. And I guess that'll be it. Just again, check out our sponsors. Head to our support page if you want more stuff. So until next time, the Final Four is on the schedule. Go Green.